Hi guys, old man Chris here again. This is a bit of a, called a busking exercise. I haven't really planned anything out very much, and this is probably what I would call video blog, just for this one. Just got back a while ago from having the old cataract surgery on this eye. Wasn't looking forward to it, but overall it didn't go too bad. I'm much out in the office in the old computer chair, much more comfortable than anything else. So anyway, yeah, this lots of you older guys have probably had this job done before. Feels like somebody's thrown a bag of sand in it and I'm supposed not to rub it, so I'm trying not to. Can't see. Oh, it's beginning to clear a bit. Apparently the last stage, oh, I've got an itch in my nose. Oh, excuse me. On the surgery was injecting into the eyeball. They put in a small amount of antibiotic and steroid, apparently, to try and stop infection. Otherwise it's a case of drops every day for a month. So I elected to let them do it, but of course, as they tell you, it finishes up all cloudy with lots of extra floaters. So at the moment that's just a monstrous blur, which I hope will get better. I have to go back tomorrow and get it looked at again. So anyway, I'm not doing a lot. Bit of computer time and basically take it a bit easy. And of course now the weather's going to get colder, which is a pain in the butt because I want to get back in the shop and make my new Acme thread. Which brings up the point to say thanks to all the guys who put in various suggestions. I think I shall follow the route of turning between centres using the 4-jaw, and that means that with the drive dog on jaws 1 and 3 I can get my 180 degree indexing to take a double cut. 2 cuts of 6 TPI at 12 TPI depth, and we'll see if it's going to work this time. I don't know when I'll get round to doing it, but it's it's on the back burner. Get it done eventually. And I also noticed I'm within 7 subs of 10,000. It's freaking amazing. I mean, compared to a lot of you guys who are way better than me in many respects, I sort of think, oh, I don't deserve that, but maybe this old English fart is a bit of a novelty. It's something like that, I've no idea. Anyway, as I say, it's a bit of a video blog, so if you don't want to hear a load of blurb, just switch off. Anyway, I mentioned before I had a plan to do a video which I can do here in the office concerning what I was calling post-production. And I've noticed several things in some videos that I watch and thought, oh, you could improve this or improve that. And I mean, my production isn't perfect by any means, but over time I've learnt a few odd wrinkles that do help. So I thought I'd use this as a sort of intro for it. The plan being to record some computer screen stuff on my editing software to demonstrate some of the things that I'll mention now. So I've got a little cheat sheet here. I'm just going to run through fairly quick. This is food for thought, and reiterating what I do is not what everybody else has to do, and what I do is far from perfect. So this is based on observations, both of my own and what other people do. So, first off, cameras and characteristics. huge variation. You've got everything from the GoPro guys, who have basically a very wide angle lens approach, and then you have what I'd call the average video camera, such as I'm using, which is a Canon Vixio. Has a lot of quite adequate features, but what I do notice is on mine that even if I record at a fairly good light level, that the final result is a bit dark, and my lighting options are not very good. My shop is so cluttered that I can't really get a brilliant light level like some people. For those of you who've seen ClickSpring, I would say he is about the top with regard to video quality. He puts in a lot of work to make his lighting is excellent, and quite a lot of other people are very good too. Dale Derry seems to have a very nicely lit shop, and his video footage looks pretty good for lighting. Oh gosh, lots of other people also pretty jolly good on that. So that's one big variable. Another big variable is your display device, shall we call it, whether it's your computer monitor, your iPad, whatever you're using. These things vary. And also, I tend to get the impression that when the video goes up onto YouTube, that the processing that occurs after the upload can also tend to degrade the brilliance level. Might be just me, I don't know, but it's another factor. So all those variables come into play. Now then, there's editing software. Some people don't use any. They might use YouTube to do it. But I think quite a few people have editing software, everything from basic to extremely good. And one of the very good ones, I believe, is, oh gosh, I've forgotten the name, Sony something or other, which is very good. What I use and have used for some time is made by Serif. It's called Movie Plus X6. It's the current latest version, hasn't changed for quite a long time. But it does have quite a few useful options within it, which when I get round to it, I will demonstrate. The two main things being brilliance and sound level. So, where we got to here? Oh, then there's a question of microphones as well. I got a radio mic months ago and I used it a bit. I haven't used it much since, except for the mic, which is fairly useful to plug into the computer. On the assumption that many people use their mic on the camera, you can either have auto for sound or manual. I found that auto, which tends to bring in AGC, automatic gain control, can sometimes be more trouble than it's worth. Because if AGC cuts in to lift the signal, it might be lifting the signal of your machinery rather than your voice. Either that or do both. So I found a setting on mine which is manual, and because I adjust sound level, it works well for me. Now, if you use the camera microphone, the sound level, if it's not auto set, will change, or it might do anyway. It will change from louder when you're hand holding, for instance, to becoming a bit low if you're much further away from the camera. For instance, if I'm working on the mill, I put the camera on a tripod and it's a few feet away and the sound level drops, so I have to accommodate for that and boost it up when I do the editing. trying, if you like, to get a fairly even level right the way through. Not always easy, but it can help. Always have to remember with the camera mic that if you're running a machine whilst you're trying to talk, that very often the machine noise becomes the main source and your voice is inadequate. And that's a good reason for a radio mic. Keith Venner, Pierre Baudry, both use radio mics. I think some other people do as well. And they do help. And I really ought to try and use mine a bit more. But that's just another consideration with regard to sound. Oh, focus, there's another thing. Quite a long time ago I was relying on autofocus, but I noticed on some of my videos, as others may have had happen on theirs, if your workpiece is rotating in the chuck, let's say, the camera autofocus will often not be quite sure what to do. And I had one video, classic one, some time back. Instead of staying focused on the workpiece, it was latching onto the chips in my chip tray between the ways. So I've taken to setting up manual focus on the camera for really closer stuff. And that's something worth considering. If your camera allows you to do that and you can be bothered to set up and focus for a shot, it tends to work out a bit better. And along with focus is the zoom factor, and it's the zoomed in close stuff where the autofocus seems to go a bit crazy sometimes, and that's where manual focus really helps. If you can get in fairly tight, sometimes it gives a more interesting shot. Then there's always the problem of, coming back to lighting, there's always the problem of glare. I get glare off my bling vise, and any reflective surface is a bit of a problem because the auto exposure, assuming you use it, which I do, I'm too lazy to set that up every time, the glare makes the autofocus close in so that it doesn't then expose the work that you want exposed properly. And the same with a backlit window or an open door with daylight outside. That's invariably a problem, and that's a case where adjustment during editing can be very useful. It'll burn out the glare aspect but accommodate the light better for what you want lit better. Again, demonstrations on that to follow. Yes, editing, sorry, I still got this itchy hooter. Editing is basically a case of linking clips together, isn't it? That's really all that's involved. But the way that you do it can make quite a difference, I think, to the finished product. And again, if your editing software gives you provision for it, you have a choice sometimes of different transitions. You can have a sort of slide across, you can have an opening iris effect, you can have like a paper roll, page roll. These are all useful. Sometimes I think they can be overdone. I know I've done that. So I tend to use those occasionally, and otherwise use two basic transitions. One is where you overlap the beginning and end of a clip so that you get a gradual fade through from old to new. And then the other one is fading down from the end of one, which takes you to black, and then fading up from black to the new one. The choice of what to use depends very much what you're doing in the sequence. If you're working in the same place on the same workpiece, then just a simple fade transition is quite handy. If you've left the work for a while and you say you're coming back soon, then you can fade to black and black to new. Equally, that type of situation could be useful for the Cleverdick transition. It's all a matter of choice. Now, excuse me. The other trick that I use quite a lot to try and avoid what some people do, which I think can sometimes be a bit of a nuisance, instead of walking up to the camera to shut it off and then switching it on and walking to where you're working, if you leave yourself, say, 4 or 5 seconds at the beginning and end, whereby you're switching on the camera and getting started, or at the end, the bit where you leave your workpiece and go to switch off, you can chop those out. So if you have that bit of leeway at the beginning and end of a clip, you can discard that first or last bit, so that when you put your transition in from the last one to the new one, you don't have that sort of awkward bit where you're switching the camera on and off or moving the tripod. Cut those bits out. I think it helps. You get a cleaner flow, I think. And that applies even to a zoom change. If your camera's mounted very steady, then I think you can zoom in and keep that in the clip. But if your camera mount isn't quite stable, or if your zoom is too fast, I think a very fast zoom can be awkward. I can adjust for 3 choices, and I use the middle one, which is fairly gradual. But I often chop out the zoom, so you perhaps, I'm going a bit, maybe the anaesthetic, I don't know. So I might decide, okay, let's zoom in, and then cut to the next clip whereby I am zoomed in. Alright, I think slightly better continuity perhaps. Oh, speeds. Now a lot of people are getting used to, or I've noticed, are using more speeding up, which I think is quite handy. If you're doing a long piece, whether you're turning a long piece or threading a long piece or milling a largish piece, it's very handy to up your speed. You can go from anything to ×2 to perhaps ×6 or 8. The idea being that instead of keeping your audience waiting as you do just a progressive process, if you up the speed, people know what you're doing, but you can take them from start to end, or let's say start to middle, and then pick up at the end, so you don't stay on something too long at normal speed. The other thing that can help when you do go faster is to change your sound level if you can, and pull it down by maybe, I'm trying to think, probably anywhere from 6 to 12 dB. So you keep the sound of the machine, but it's muted. You take it down much lower. That's again just me, but I think that sometimes helps. So speeding up on numerous jobs can be very useful. And the last thing at the moment, again I shall demonstrate later when I get to it, choice of text when you overlay. Now I've noticed sometimes, particularly if somebody puts a text on a black screen, if they use a colour like a darkish red or a darkish blue, it's almost unreadable. So the colour of text in my book wants to be fairly bright, either white, yellow, maybe light green, or even light blue, cyan colour, and preferably with an outline of probably an outline of black. That means that if you put the text on a light background, the black frames the lighter colour, and if you're already on a black background, the colour being lighter will show very well and be readable. So the big two no-nos are dark blue and dark red. You can hardly read them, but I do find some people use those quite a lot. And the outline on the text is useful for your various comment bits of text when you put those on during editing. Alright. Oh dear, I've still got itchy nose. This must be all something to do with the anaesthetic, which was pretty short term, I might add. Alright. That covers the main stuff. Alright, so I'm sorry, this is basically, as I say, a sort of video blog ramble. And I know some people get tired of people talking, so as I said earlier, hopefully you've switched off if you don't want to follow all this. But I do want to cover the post-production aspect of video making, not as the expert, but as somebody with just a few ideas. So the next video perhaps will be a video screen grab of showing the same things in my editor. That's the plan. It'll probably be done on the fly, put together to be something hopefully vaguely useful. And finally, if I can remember this, Chuck Bomarito, outside Screwball, he mentioned about a week or two ago a parrot joke. And he said beforehand, he said, here's a warning, this is a parrot joke, which might be a bit naughty. And it reminded me of an old one that I heard years ago. So seeing as various people put in a story or a dog at the end of their video, here's a quick parrot joke. Now this very upstanding family decided to get a very handsome parrot as a pet. You know, one of these great big green ones, not the little cockatoo, this is a really big one. And it was a very handsome bird. But the trouble was, it had a major problem. It farted. It was always farting. And this was becoming a bit of a problem. They got a bit tired of it. And the day came when they had a lunch fixed up for the local priest. And they didn't want to upset him, you know, with the carrot, with the parrot farting all over the place. So they worked out a fix. And so the day came for this lunch with the priest and his wife. And in honour of the occasion, they roasted a small sucking pig. So there it was, this beautifully laid out table, little sucking pig in the middle, surrounded by vegetables. And the husband said to the priest, would you like to take the honour of carving? So he started carving the pig roast, and the parrot's voice piped up from the corner, lucky little sucking pig, lucky little swine, sage and onions stuffed up yours, sealing wax up mine. There you go. Just to join the parrot joke fraternity, Harold can do the redneck Bubba stuff, and that's me putting in a parrot joke. Alright, anyway, rather a different video. Sorry it's all ramble. Bear with me. I'm hoping to get out in the shop when I get a chance, if everything in temperature allows. So thank you for watching. Thank you to my subs, which again still amazes me. Very grateful. Hope to see you before too long. Alright? Bye.